Welcome back, everybody, once again to another KGC Takes mock draft. It is Tuesday, 2 days before the NFL draft, and the Raiders are still the landing spot for Fernando Mendoza. They need a quarterback, and he was the Heisman winner, the national champion winner. It's obvious that he's the place to go, especially with the signing of Kirk Cousins. I feel like it's a match made in heaven for those two, and Fernando will be a great pick for the Raiders. With the Jets, there's been a lot of talk about their pick recently, especially with David Bailey starting to rise up the ranks and Arvell Reese still being in consideration. I think with how last week they canceled their visit with David Bailey while spending multiple visits with Arvell Reese. I think it's more than obvious that the Jets are going to pick Arvell Reese. Now the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to do something this draft that I haven't been doing the last few. I think the Cardinals are absolutely going to be trading down. And I think they're going to trade down with Dallas. They're going to be able to absolutely bring in both their firsts. I think Dallas will have to put in a little more. Maybe it's a future 4th round pick. Maybe even the 3rd in this draft to make that deal happen. But the Cowboys are now going to take the Texas native in David Bailey. The Titans have become, I feel like, one of the more intriguing teams. You have them as a big candidate to trade down, and you especially, though, have them being mocked guys like Jeremiah Love or even Ruben Bain. I think that they're going to stay put at 4 and give a amazing weapon to their young quarterback with Cam Ward and add Jeremiah Love in this draft. The Giants at 5, they just traded for Dexter Lawrence. They just traded away Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals and got pick number 10. So there's a big need at defensive line. Do you think they take Peter Woods in the top 10? I still think overall they're going to stay mostly on the same track. I have them taking Sonny Styles. I think that he is the best linebacker in the draft. I think he's better than Arvell Reese. Obviously, Arvell Reese has been talked more as an edge rusher recently, so that's probably why he's going so much higher than Sonny Styles. I still think he's the better competitor. I feel like he's probably a top 5 talent in this draft, obviously. And I feel like he'll be a great addition for the new John Harbaugh Giants defense. The Browns at 6. I'll be honest, I think the Browns are going to be trading back here. And they're going to be trading back with the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins need a wide receiver. I feel like that they're going to make an argument to get the best one in the draft. I doubt they'll send their 30th or their 43rd pick with the stock of 3rd rounders they have. I think they only really will need 2 to get it done. Probably 75 and 87 would be a good one. Maybe 75 and 90 instead. And that's what I'm going to have them do here. But I'll have the Dolphins trade up to number 6, and they're going to select Carnell Tate. The Commanders are going to stay put at 7, and they're going to bring in a brand new edge rusher for their defensive line. They're going to bring in Ruben Bain. A lot of people are still talking about the arm length. I don't think it's a worry anymore. Ruben Bain is, in my opinion, still the best edge rusher in this draft, and he should absolutely be a top 10 pick. Now the New Orleans Saints. A lot of talk with them too. Do they take a receiver like Mekhi Lemon? Do they reach on a edge rusher like Keldrick Falk or TJ Parker or Keem Mesidor? Do they maybe make the jump at safety, take Caleb Downs here? I think they're going to take Mansour Delaney though. Kool-Aid McKinstry is currently the best corner on that team, I'd say. He's on his last year, I believe, of his deal, or second to last year. He definitely could be better, and you could be better overall at the corner position. And I think you want to add Mansour Delaney. Keep him in Louisiana. You have the Chiefs now. Do they take Jermon McCoy right here? Do they maybe now take Caleb Downs? I think Caleb Downs is still arguably the best talent in the draft. It's him and Jeremiah Love at 1 and 2 for me. However you want to order it is perfectly reasonable in my opinion. But I think Caleb Downs should absolutely be the pick for Kansas City. Now the Giants at 10. This is a tough one. You don't really know where they're going to go. I don't think they're taking Dylan Thieneman at 10. I could maybe see them taking Peter Woods. I could see them adding Jordan Tyson. That's been a big talk recently. But overall, I can't help but feel like the Giants are going to trade down. I feel like there's a lot of options for them at 10. And I feel like they're going to absolutely take this opportunity to trade down when they have a great standing point. I feel like it's a very simple team to go to. I'm looking at the Rams. I think the idea of the Giants trading down with the Rams is very likely. I absolutely think that the Rams have probably a great target in this draft. I think overall, they won't have to give too much. They'll probably just give their second round pick. Giants can throw in, say, their fourth to make that trade happen. I feel like it's a pretty obvious thing that they have to continue to protect Matthew Stafford these last few years. Rob Havenstein just retired. Warren McClendon is your current right tackle. You have Alaric Jackson as your left. They're not the strongest tackle duo. They're serviceable, but I feel like you need better. So I feel like you kind of have to take the best offensive tackle in this class, and that's Francis Mauigoa. He's a very good tackle. He will be able to plug in well at the right side, and even if the time comes when, maybe you can't re-sign Kevin Dotson, you can kick him inside and have Warren McClendon still kick off on the outside. I feel like you need to make it your priority to keep Matthew Stafford safe. You have good receivers. I don't think you need to draft Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson right away. I feel like you have the weapons you need, and I feel like you can absolutely get it done with what you have. You need to make the trenches stronger to protect Matthew Stafford. Now the Browns at 11. A lot of people think it's pretty obvious. They'll go receiver. They'll probably take Mekhi Lemon right here. I think they're going to go somewhere different. I think they're going to add corner. Now, a lot of people think that might be an unnecessary pick. I think when you look at their secondary right now, it's relatively weak. You have Denzel Ward. You traded away Greg Newsome and got Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell has never really been performing well the last 2 years. I think you really need another surefire outside corner beside Denzel Ward. I think with how deep the receiving class is and how deep the offensive tackle class is, you can get a guy with those next 2 picks you have to be just as serviceable as some of the higher end guys you can pick now. I don't think you're going to have a corner right here that is as serviceable as a guy like Jermod McCoy or Colton Hood would be. And I think the Browns are going to take Jermod McCoy. Now I get to the Cardinals. Overwhelmingly, it seems like corner is probably where they'd go, or receiver is where they go. And I have them going receiver. I have them taking Mekhi Lemon. The possibility of them trading Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like is relatively strong on draft night. Marvin Harrison has been very lackluster. He has not been used properly. Michael Wilson had a much better season last year. Trey McBride has absolutely carved himself out as the number 1 target. You signed Tyler Algier to give you a better running back. I feel like Marvin Harrison is just getting knocked down the totem pole consistently. And I feel like you need a guy to really step up and be the real weapon. Now, I feel like if you take Mekhi Lemon, pair him up with Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison, that would be a great play. But I still think them trading Marvin Harrison now, while he has some of the best value he will, could be a smart idea. And I see the Cardinals taking Mekhi Lemon. Now the Giants. As I was mentioning earlier, a lot of talks about Jordan Tyson. And I think if he falls here to 13, the Giants know they will not have another chance to get him, as I feel like within this next volley of the next 3 picks, he'd be bound to go. So I have the Giants taking Jordan Tyson here at 13. The Ravens at 14. I still think it's obvious. I still think they're going interior. You have a relatively weak interior. You have John Simpson, who you signed, but you need to add more. I think you need to make it stronger to make up for Linderbaum being gone. And Vega Ione is by far the best guy you can take. Now the Bucs. The Bucs are in a weird position. You need to add to the front 7, but is there any talent worth adding to the edge or linebacker position? Overall, I still feel like they're going to go edge rusher. I feel like they're going to add one of my favorite players who is, I feel like, fairly undervalued in this draft process, and that's going to be TJ Parker. Now you look at the Jets. The Jets are interesting. I've always had them taking Jordan Tyson. Now he's gone. I would maybe have them take a corner. I don't know if they're going to take Colton Hood this early. You could say they draft an edge rusher, but I feel like that's what Arvell Reese is for. Do they draft a more coverage style linebacker like CJ Allen? I think, though, that they're going to trade back. And they're going to trade back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers absolutely need to add tackle. I feel like they'll try to run it with Will Howard this year if Aaron Rodgers doesn't give them another year. And I feel like the Steelers are absolutely going to have to make a move like this to help their team. I could see them sending 2 of their thirds, maybe 1 of their thirds, but I feel like this trade is a little more likely. Teams want to have more depth in the draft class this year, and that's been reported consistently. I feel like the Jets are going to take their opportunity to get some of the most picks they can while still being valuable ones. And I have the Steelers trade up in order to select Caden Proctor. I know that's a pick that'll upset some people. They think he's probably more of a guard style. Even then, with Isaac Seumalo gone, you could maybe have him play that. But the biggest reason why I have the Steelers trading up is because of the team that comes next, the Detroit Lions. There are 2 main targets I see for them here. Monroe Freeling, who I do not like as much as most people seem to like, and Blake Miller. I like Blake Miller more than most people seem to. I think Blake Miller is probably one of the better picks the Lions can make here, and I think they should absolutely take this opportunity to bring in Blake Miller. Now you get to the Vikings. The Vikings are kind of in a clear position. They should add to the secondary. You had a very weak one. Harrison Smith is gone. Josh Metellus is like the last good safety you have. You have some decent corners, but will they stay much longer? Do you take Colton Hood here, add him with Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy? Or do you take Dylan Thieneman, who a lot of people have mocked, style him again to kind of be that new Harrison Smith? I think they're going to take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, though. He has the ability, I feel like, to be a good box safety and nickel style player. A lot like Jalen Petrie, or maybe even like, last year Nick Eamon-Wari. I feel like he would probably be the more serviceable and rotational player that the Vikings could make a lot more work with, and I feel like they should absolutely make the play here. Now you look at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are in a weird spot. I feel like automatically they would consider taking Kenyon Sadiq here. But I actually think they're going to trade back. And I think the team they're going to trade back with is the Chicago Bears. I know last time they had a trade with the Bears, it didn't really work out. But I don't see it going badly for them here. I feel like they could get good value out of it. I think I pressed something wrong. My apologies for that pause. I've fixed it now. But yeah, I feel like the Carolina Panthers are absolutely going to trade down here. Bears have 2 second rounders. They can definitely make something work with that. I think the Panthers might have to throw in a little extra to get something. They'll probably ask for 57 instead of 60. Let's say they throw in another 5th. Boom. Get that trade through. And I have the Bears jumping up. I think they're going to take the next safety off the board. And I think they're going to add Dylan Thieneman now beside Kobe Bryant. Now you're back to the Cardinals once again. The Cardinals are in an interesting position. Tackle is probably more likely once again. I feel like it's going to be Monroe Freeling here. I feel like this is where the quote-unquote fall would stop for him. I don't think he should be going this early. I don't think he's a first-round pick still. But overall, front offices clearly seem to disagree with that. And I think Monroe Freeling will end up going here at 20 to the Cardinals. Now the Jets at 21. They traded back. They got a few third-rounders. I think they're going to still take receiver here. I don't think it's Omar Cooper Jr. I don't think it's Casey Conception. I think it's going to be Denzel Boston. He's a good complement to Garrett Wilson's play style, I feel like. I feel like when Concepcion or Omar Cooper would play something a little too similar. I feel like Boston can really give the alternative receiver that you need to Garrett Wilson. The Chargers at 22, I don't feel like they're staying here either. I feel like they're going to be trading back as well. And I think they're going to be trading back with San Francisco. San Francisco has a clear need, and it's to add to the trenches. We don't exactly know where they would add, but whether it's defense or offense, it's absolutely something they need to do. I think the Niners, though, are going to love being able to take Spencer Fano here. You can kick him inside if you need to. You can have him play right on the right along with Colton McKivitz, moving him inside. I think Spencer Fano is almost a dream pick here for the Niners, and I think they have to jump Philly in order to get him. Now the Eagles. Big talk has been A.J. Brown is set to be traded after the June 1st deadline. And I agree. It'll cut half of his dead cap hit, and the Patriots have clearly always had an interest in bringing him in. I think the Eagles are going to take Kevin Concepcion, and I think that A.J. Brown will very much be traded after the June 1st deadline. Now we have the Browns at 24. Left tackle is still open. Do they take a wide receiver like Omar Cooper Jr.? Do they wait to take Brazell or say even Zachariah Branch later on? I think they're waiting on receiver. I don't like Omar Cooper Jr. I think they're going to take Caleb Lomu to play left tackle. And now the Panthers. They have their guy who they want at 19, follow them to 25, and that's Kenyon Sadiq. It's another great pass catcher for Bryce Young, and I think it's another step to really get their offense to hit their next level. With an actual threat at tight end, I think it will make it much easier for them to have a more consistent offensive performance. Now the Bills. I think it's obvious that they're going to have to add edge rusher. Greg Rousseau had a very disappointing year. Landon Jackson got hurt really quickly. You have a good interior, I think, with TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver. I feel like they're going to improve a lot this year. You could maybe see them add a corner like Colton Hood again, but I think they expect Maxwell Harrison to take another step. If Dorian Strong can come back, that'd be even better. But I think overall, they're going to take an edge rusher, and I think it's more likely that they add Akeem Mesidor than Keldrick Falk. Akeem Mesidor is more NFL ready than Falk is, but I like Falk's ceiling a lot more, and I like what he can do as an NFL prospect much more than Akeem Mesidor. But with the Chargers, I think Jim Harbaugh is exactly what Keldrick Falk needs to unlock his actual potential. Falk was used very improperly, in my opinion, at Auburn. He was not in the right system, and yet he still put up the numbers and showed the flashes to be able to be a first-round pick. I feel like he's without a doubt a first-round pick. And I think the Chargers are just the team to be able to get him to hit that stride in the league, especially with a guy like Khalil Mack there to build him up slowly and get him adjusted to the new style of play. Now the Texans are a weird spot. It's clear that they'd probably go interior on one side. They could add offensive tackle, but I don't think you have one that you want to add here. You might go interior, but I don't think Besantis or Pregnon is worth this pick. And I don't think you should be taking a D-line. I think the Texans are going to do exactly what they did last year. I think they're trading out of the first round. And I think they're doing it with the exact same team. I think the Giants are coming in to make their third first-round pick of the night. And I feel like that pick will be a very obvious one. The Giants will probably be able to get something interesting back. I know this trade's a little unrealistic, but I'm just doing it to send it through. They'll probably send both of those seconds in order to make it work, maybe even another future pick. But the Giants are going to replace Dexter Lawrence, and I think they're going to replace him with the best defensive tackle in this class, and that's Peter Woods. Now the Chiefs. I think it's obvious where they go. Either Colton Hood or Avion Terrell. I think Avion Terrell plays more similarly to Trent McDuffie, and I feel like you want to find his replacement first. So I think the Chiefs take Avion Terrell. Now the Dolphins. I feel like this is a dream scenario. You still have pick 30 even after trading up for Carnell Tate. You need a corner, and you have Colton Hood fall to your lap at third. Now the Patriots. I feel like it's relatively obvious where they're going to go. They're not going to pick a receiver. A.J. Brown is more likely to happen now more than ever. You have Romeo Doubs. You have Kayshon Boutte, who you might be trading soon. But I think if you believe you'll land A.J. Brown, you are not taking a receiver in this draft. I think they're going to pick an edge rusher. And a guy who I've begun to like more and more throughout the draft process are two players, Zion Young and Malachi Lawrence. I like R. Mason Thomas a lot as well, but I feel like they've kind of come up a little bit more for me, even surpassing Cassius Howell, who I used to think really highly of. I think the Patriots are going to take Zion Young. I feel like he has exactly the tools to complement Harold Landry on the outside, and I feel like he will absolutely be a great addition, a guy who can probably be like last year's James Pierce, a late first rounder who can come in and immediately make a big impact. But now Seattle's on the board. A lot of people have been talking about Jadarian Price going to them here at 32. I've never been a huge fan of that pick. I think overall, Seattle's going to be trading back out of the first. They have some of the lowest draft capital in the league. They only have 4 picks, as you can see. They have their first, second, third. They don't have a 4th, 5th, or 7th. And I don't even think that's their 6th round pick. The Ravens have some of the most draft capital in the league. And the Ravens have always had a knack for coming back into the first round later in the draft for bigger players. I think they're going to do that again. I think Seattle's going to get as many draft picks as they can out of this. And I absolutely think that the Ravens are going to be trading back up to 32. With that pick, I feel like they're just going to add wide receiver. Do I like him as a first rounder? No, he's not even in my top 10 wide receivers. But Omar Cooper Jr. has clearly gotten the attention of scouts and teams, and I think that him being a first round pick is beyond set in stone. But there you have it. That is the KGC Mock Draft 4.0. I wanted to get a video out talking about my top 10 players and who I thought was overrated and underrated at each position, but I didn't have the time to record it. So please, if you could, check out my Instagram. It's linked at my channel, and I'll put it in the link in the description. Please check out my account, follow. I post a lot more often on there than I do here on YouTube. But yeah, that's my first round mock draft with trades. Hope you all enjoyed. And once again, I was KGC. This was my take.